Welcome to Free MMO Station. My name's Skylent, and I'm going to give you my first impression, my first look at a new tabletop-inspired tactical CCG named Faeria.
FreeMMOstation.com.
Alright, let's go ahead and let's just talk about the gimmick of Faeria. Basically, have you ever played Magic the Gathering and you know how the resource system uses lands? Yeah, Faeria is actually the same way. It uses lands, but it also uses a Faeria system, which is similar to Hearthstone system. But the lands in this game literally exist on the playing field. Like it's literally a board card game. Like it's a tabletop board game that you play. And the board is actually built as you play. I mean, it's kind of a cool, silly gimmick, but it really works in the sense like if you were to take Magic the Gathering, take Hearthstone, and then mix it with this unique concept. Strategy card game meets living board. That's kind of their motto, and it really works out. And I want to try to break down this first impression. I'm going to be super critical with this game because I spent a lot of time with this. I streamed with it. I talked with the developers and some high-level players. I really submersed myself in this game. Not because I was paid to. No, this is not a paid promotion or anything. I was not paid to. I was not truly paid to sit here and spend any longer on this video than others. No, I genuinely, personally invested time in this game because I actually really freaking like that. And I want to talk about that real quick. Spoiler alert, yes, I really like this game, okay? So I think this is a good game, and I'll explain all the reasons why. But I just want to say that you guys have seen my first impressions, right? If not on this channel, on some other channels, or just whatever, random videos, or my stream maybe, I play a lot of card games, from Clash Royale to, in real life, in tabletop gaming, with Magic the Gathering, okay? So as deep and complex as Magic the Gathering, and as simple and cute as Clash Royale. I play a lot of card games, I play a lot of tactical games, and I really am kind of falling in love with the whole tactical CCG aspect. There's a lot of games I've been playing, like Zems, Duelyst specifically, and then there's this game, Faeria. And Duelyst was the game that I first started to really kind of fall in love with. But Faeria absolutely has taken my heart. And this game, I've already spent more hours in this game, and I literally just got access to it than any other CCG that I've played so far. I really like it that much, and I think it has that much depth. Yes, the art is amazing. I love the aesthetic. I love the design choices, and that's in every single aspect. From the tactical aspect, the board game aspect, to the actual cards that you're playing. You know, I think even if it didn't have the board aspect, you know, the actual tactical aspect and moving around, if it was just these cards have some really interesting and fun effects. Like, they're just genuinely very cool to play around with, and the deck building, because of that, the deck building is actually very exciting, you know, making all these different gimmicks and such. It's just really freaking cool. Amazing game design so far. And then add in the complexity of the actual resource system, the multiple resource system with the different lands, building the board as you play, and then actually summoning your cards, and then tactically actually moving them around and, you know, completing different sort of goals or, you know, different plans, initiating different strategies and tactics. It's freaking awesome. Okay, let's stop gushing, let's get critical, let's talk about this game. However, I will say that pretty much everything that I have to say is going to be completely positive. Maybe you could consider that bias, but honestly, I think the game earns that title of just being almost near flawless. Like, the game looks and plays amazing in every aspect, but I guess, you know, let's take the time to actually dig down deep and let's get critical. Okay, so the title's called Faeria. I was kind of hesitant to get this game. I mean, I saw some streamers playing it. It looked pretty good. Some people on Twitch were telling me, yo, Sky, you need to stream this game. You need to play this game. It looks freaking awesome. It seems like you would like it. And yeah, it did. Now, I was a little bit hesitant, though, because Duelyst, you know, Duelyst is kind of rising in popularity. It's a really good game, but let me tell you right now, is that Faeria, despite the name sounding childish, and maybe you might see some art kind of seems a little bit cartoony, when you actually get into the game, you're going to see that the game is completely serious. Like, this game is completely focused on actually joining the eSports scene. Abso-freaking-lutely. And you can see that instantaneously. There's so much, like, sincerity in every part of this. And I mean that. Like, the game just seems completely polished in every aspect, animations and whatnot. I don't know if they're going to add voice acting to some of these creatures and stuff, but so far the game just seems like the art is great. The UI, the user experience is amazing, and all in all, like, you know, whenever you first played Hearthstone and you're like, whoa, this is a totally different caliber. This is, I mean, you know, Magic the Gathering didn't do anything to that caliber. Yeah, for this genre, for the tactical CCG, you know, the digital card game era, Faeria is one of those games. Faeria is above and beyond what you'd expected, and it kind of blows you away. That's what I think. You know, they didn't need to go this far, but I guess, you know, maybe if they want to actually be a competitive esport, maybe they did. Now, there's a number of things where they just kind of go, they go a little bit higher, you know? They go above and beyond. And for one, this is something that's actually really big. In a CCG, collecting the cards is pretty important. How long it takes, the grind, and the fact that there's tons of cards and an ever-expanding roster of cards, right? Now, who here, raise your hands, have wanted to play Hearthstone, but you couldn't get into it because, well, you don't have any cards and it's going to take you hours and hours and hours to even get just one deck? Yeah, even a game as fair as Duelyst, you know, takes a long time to get some decks. Faeria allows you to actually buy the entire sets of cards. So every year, I don't know if it's going to be every year, but every expansion, you know, they're going to have just whole sets of cards, expansion sets, and you can purchase the entire sets of the cards right out of the shop. Now, of course, you have all the other options. You can just completely free to play, just grind and get cards, which is really fair, especially with the quest system. You can do that. Or you can just buy the set. So if you want to be competitive right out of the gate, you can do that. No other game like that I've played has allowed you to do that, at least in the digital card game era here. So that's just amazing. You know, I want to clap. Thank you so much for allowing us to do that, to purchase and play all the cards. And this is really good, especially for first impressions, you know, to actually play and see all the different cards. Because if I didn't have access to all these different cards, I wouldn't be able to gush about how cool the effects are. So yeah, just for the CCG aspect, the collecting card aspect, and the matchmaking and everything, it's pretty good. You know, the deck building, all that good stuff, the way the cards look, the different effects and everything, blah, blah, blah. It's freaking amazing. Now let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit past that. User experience, basically, it's everything that you'd expect from other games, all in this game, but also just, you know, that one step extra. You can purchase a full expansion set there. And it also looks really well. Everything's easily navigated and all that good stuff. And that's going to translate super well into mobile devices, no doubt about that. Okay, so let's go into the actual gameplay here. Of course, you've been watching it this whole time. You can see that whenever you play lands, think Magic the Gathering, and I'm no doubt that's the inspiration for this, because a lot of the play styles of Magic the Gathering are actually translated into this, like the water cards for Magic or blue cards for Magic. They play similarly in this game. You know, they're kind of spell-oriented and combo-oriented, stuff like that. So in this game, whenever you play lands, instead of just being another resource, it literally places a tile of that type there. So if you have a forest and you need a forest to summon a creature, you're going to actually lay a tile down on the board, and that's going to create a surface. Now, there's also a neutral. It's like, I think it's called a plane. There is a neutral land that you can play. So every turn, you get to do this. Every turn at the start, or whenever you want to do it. I love that this game doesn't have proper phases. Like, you can move a unit, you can attack, you can draw, you can add a Faeria. Like, you can do combos when you want to. And it goes a little bit step further, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So every turn, you can actually either gain one Faeria, which is your resource, your main resource. Sort of works like mana. And then, or you can draw a card, and this is an or system. So you choose Faeria, or you draw, or you can place a land, or you can place the two neutral lands. So if you want to have a rush deck, for example, then maybe you're going to want to have a lot of neutrals. And so this is how the system works. Neutrals can be spawned anywhere on any tile, and that includes the neutral tile. So neutrals don't require any mountains, forests, deserts, what have you. They just require Faeria. So you spend Faeria to summon the neutral creatures. And what's really cool about having the neutrals is that you can summon them on the planes. And since you can summon two planes or neutrals in a turn, then that allows you to build up your sort of board more aggressively. You can shoot straight for the enemy god, which is what the sphere thing is called. You can shoot straight for the enemy god, and you can summon units on any one of your own lands. So if you have a neutral deck, you can build up the planes, summon neutrals right on the god, and just kind of run at the face. Yeah. Or there's a number of ways you can actually go rush, and maybe we'll get into that. I don't know. It gets kind of complex because there's so many different tactics. Every single thing that you can imagine, any sort of gimmick or sort of like gameplay facility that you can think about in another card game, it works here. Yeah, I mean, any sort of archetype, it works in this game, but probably actually maybe potentially epitomized in this game because of how it operates. Okay. So you can, I guess forest decks are kind of more defensive. You want to build forests kind of near you, and then they spawn big creatures, big hulking creatures that only get stronger as time goes on as well. The desert cards, they're actually kind of nomadic, which is really, aesthetically everything's fitting as well. They're really nomadic, so you can summon structures that give them rush or charge and whatnot. And oh yeah, one thing though, you are going to see some things that are similar, some effects that are similar to other card games, though they are named differently. So charge in this game it's not like you can instantly attack. Charge actually means that they can move multiple tiles instead of just one tile at a time, which is the default movement set for this game. There's also ranged units. There's also flying units. Flying definitely does work differently than Magic the Gathering. I'm just going to say that you're going to hear certain terms like flying, which is similar to Magic the Gathering. However, it's not mechanically similar. Flying does not operate the same way it does in Magic the Gathering. Flying just means that the creature can move over any tile, even if that's water. And then you have aquatic creatures, which can only move in water tiles or the pond tiles. So, yeah, okay. Anyways. What is Faeria? I keep mentioning Faeria, but Faeria basically is just mana. Now, this mechanic is actually pretty cool. Like I said earlier, how you can do combos in a turn, this game is about doing what you want when you want, kind of. It's not like in Hearthstone, you have very sort of like strict parameters of doing combos, and the game gets very predictable, I think. In Faeria, it's a little bit different because unlike Hearthstone, where you have 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10 mana, in this game, or also Duelyst does the same thing, but in this game, you don't have a limit on your Faeria. Your Faeria can constantly go up and up and up and up, in the 30s even if it wants to. So you don't have to summon units certain turns. You don't have to lay down something because you're like, oh, I'll waste this turn if I don't lay down anything. Faeria is not about that. If you want to save up for one giant combo, you can do that. You absolutely can save up your Faeria. You are going to need the lands necessary, to necessitate that combo, but if you have the lands and you just need the Faeria, then you can just build up Faeria. Absolutely. Now, I will say that card draw is a little bit harder. It's a little bit harsher than Duelyst because Duelyst has the replay system. This game does not have the replay system, but because you do have the sort of like fluidity with what you do, like how I can choose the +1 Faeria, I can choose to +1 draw a card. That's really freaking awesome. Like, you do have that flexibility, and I think it's a worthy trade of the replay system from Duelyst. Now, just to clarify about some things, I was talking about how forest acted a certain way, deserts act a certain way. Now, it's just like Magic the Gathering. Like, you can have mixed decks, and as you can see in the bottom right there, at any time you can choose to summon, whatever lands you want. So resources aren't draw dependent. You choose what you want to do when you want to do it. Absolutely. If you want to have a desert forest deck, you can do that. If you want to have a water mountain deck, you can do that too. Or if you want to just go freaking rainbow, go ahead. Or you can go full neutral and just play a rush deck. Abso-freaking-lutely, you can do that. Deck building is really exciting in this game because mainly it's not resource RNG dependent. In Magic the Gathering, that's how that works, and it severely limits your potential. But because at any time you can summon any resource that you want, you don't need to draw into it, you just need to get your cards, you need the Faeria, and because Faeria can be built up and comboed, you can save up, you can plan, you can strategize. And in a strategy card game, you can't beat that. A game that allows you to actually strategize. Exactly. Not only that, but a game that gives you the most room for tactics, right? Because not only are you moving units, and not only do most of these units have very interesting movement mechanics on the board, I would say like as deep as chess, right? But you actually make the board. I don't know, man. I want to say I'm trying to be critical, I'm trying to be professional, but I can't, man. My bias is showing, my inner child is showing, because genuinely I'm having fun with the game. And this is a rant style first impression because I just wanted to be very humble with you guys. I wanted to reach you guys. I want to get on my knees eye to eye and say, I really like this game, and I sincerely hope that you guys give it a chance. It will be free to play. If you want to join in, if you want to get the early access, go ahead and do it. You get a wealth of cards. You will absolutely be able to have fun and play this game. Hopefully, I covered everything. If there's any questions whatsoever, leave it in the comments below. I will try to answer it. I've gotten pretty deep into the game. I guess lastly, I can say that the matches, they can last a little bit. Okay, they can last a little bit of time. But I think any card game can potentially get kind of long. But this game's actually, I would say, pretty fast-paced for what the genre is. A lot of these games can be really long. But the strategy card game genre, for this game, is pretty fair. I would say it's definitely fair. The timing is fair. If you play a deck and you want to, bring it out to the late game, you can do that. You know, I'm not saying it's like Hearthstone where there's like essentially a time limit on matches where everything is incredibly fast-paced. I would say it's overall for the genre, it's very appropriate. The matches are decent. And if you want to extend it, you can. If you want to rush, you can. Matches can be fast-paced. It depends on your playstyle and how you build decks. And that's basically what I want to say. You know, deck building is super fun. In fact, I spent most of my time just trying out decks. Normally in card games, I just play it for the thrill of it. You know, like the arena. The arena in Hearthstone is really fun. Just the RNG, just trying to do the best with what I have. But in this game, where I feel like the impact of my strategy, of my deck building, is more impactful than any other card game I've ever played, yeah, I'm actually having fun building decks. And in a CCG, I think that is vitally important, or vitally vital. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, guys, business model, fair. Esport focused. Genuinely though, is it a fun game? Yes. However, saying that it's esport focused, saying that it's deep and complex, it's actually super intuitive, really easy to get into, especially because of everything that I mentioned. You know, you can place lands at any time. It's not super RNG dependent with a resource system, and you actually build the board as you play. You know, so I guess aesthetically, it's very pleasing, it's very fun, and it just has a really awesome game feel, a very polished feel, even for new players. So there is a lot of depth and complexities with all the different decks overall, you know, how the game actually plays and feels, you know, doing sniping attacks to the face, board clear, you know, having big, like giant brutal monsters with forest decks, or maybe even big monsters with the red decks. You know, there's all sorts of different kinds of builds you can do. It's not like the forest decks are the only big cards. You can buff up cards in the sand if you want to, even though they're generally nomadic and have lower health. You can actually get some pretty tanky cards in there. And there's also structure cards, there's different kinds of creature cards, not just the different elements, there's events, which are spells, and there's so many different sort of aspects to the game that are incredibly deep and complex whenever they're played together that I just simply can't mention it in this first impression, but I want you to know that they do exist. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Skylent with Free MMO Station. If you like my beautiful voice, you go to my channel or my stream. I actually stream this game pretty much every day. Faeria is a great game. It's a great game, dude. It's a great game. No sponsor, promise, but it's a great game, and that's, I don't know. That's just me saying that, maybe. I mean, I like Duelyst. So if you like Duelyst, I mean, if you like Hearthstone, if you like card games at all, I really think you should check out this evolution of the genre, or it's really a merging of two genres together, and try this game whenever it comes out, okay? It will be free to play, it will be on mobile devices, all that good stuff. Now, yeah, you can check out my stream at Skylent, twitch.tv/Skylent, or you can like and subscribe here, always here, playing awesome games most of the time, having fun, and hopefully, guys, I'll see you in the next one.